And I do want people to know and see and understand my journey and my path, and knowing nothing bad that you have done discredits you from the good that you're going to receive.
My name is Detavio Samuels, and welcome to the Blackprint, where I sit with the innovators, disruptors, and changemakers. My guests open up about every step of their journey and share lessons learned along the way to provide creators, entrepreneurs, and executives with a tangible blueprint for navigating to the top of their industry. This is the Blackprint. Welcome to the Blackprint. Here, we talk to the ceiling breakers, the disruptors, the innovators, those people who are charting their own course out in the world. As I always like to say here, everybody sees you on the mountaintop, nobody sees you on the climb. This is the show where we talk about the climb. And today I am so blessed. I am so grateful to have my friend, Queen Gail, here with me today. And as usual, I won't do any of the introduction. I'm going to let this amazing Black Queen introduce herself. Gail, let the people know who you are.
I am Gail Bean, actress, writer, producer, God's child. Gail Mitchell. Mitchells are born winners. I am a Delta. I am a Black woman. I am a friend. I am. If you see me, you know you got a friend. You got a friend in me.
I love it. And I know you didn't say it. I love your introduction.
Thank
but
you.
as of last night, you were also,
I am NAACP award-winning Gail B.
Yay.
Thank you, Snowfall. Thank you, John Singleton. Thank you, FX. Thank you, Damson, and everybody who was with Snowfall from the beginning, from the first pilot. I'm standing on y'all's shoulders.
So we're going to come all the way back to this moment. But first, let's go back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Where were you born? What was home life like?
Okay. They're going to crucify me for this, but I was born in St. Louis.
Okay.
I rarely say that because I was there for like maybe a month. Then we moved to Arizona. And then at 3, we moved to Stone Mountain, Georgia. And Stone Mountain, Georgia has been my home forever. Until I moved to LA in 2013, Stone Mountain is where, so that's where I'm always like, that's what I scream the most and the loudest because it made me. I feel like it's embedded in me. It's a part of my makeup.
You scream Stone Mountain or you scream Atlanta?
I scream Stone Mountain.
Okay,
I
just
scream the
checking.
East Side.
Yeah.
I scream Stone Mountain. I only say Atlanta to people who are not from there,
familiar.
so I don't have to break it down and explain. But yeah,
Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain. I'm a Retta. I'm not from Atlanta.
Okay, so let's talk about home life in Stone Mountain, Georgia. What was it like? Who was in your household? Who did you grow up with? Who raised you?
So, who raised me? A village. I will say that. A community. My family, my friends, my mom's family and friends, my parents' family and friends. I have 5 brothers. I'm the only girl, I'm the baby. So their family and friends. It was really you know how they say it takes a village?
Absolutely.
It really did. And they raised me in faith. So God also raised me. I have 5 brothers, but I only lived in a home with 2. Right? My mom has 2 sons. So it was, but it wasn't just them in the home. We had cousins come live with us. We had uncles and aunts come live with us. Our home was like that home where you could come and stay. I remember Keisha, my cousin, she's also my soror, came and lived with us. My cousin Jason, he's passed now, rest in peace. He came and lived with us. A lot of people lived in our home because it was the home you knew you could go to, right? It was the home where if no place else felt like it, this was home. My mom was a high school teacher. So some students would come and stay and be in our home all the time. So many people call my mother their mom. So it was just a home that was love. You know, the parents were there. I tell people all the time, I know what it's like to have a man. My daddy been in my life forever. I have 5 brothers who've been in my life forever. To have a man love me all my life. That's a different type of feeling, right? And it's like, I had that. My home felt like a place where if nobody else loved you, you knew you could go home. And I'm starting to realize as I meet more folks, it's rare.
Absolutely.
When I thought it was common. And it's like you could have so much of a rare thing, you start to mistake it for common. So that was my home. It was a rare, beautiful thing of love and God.
So talk to me about how did that mold and shape the woman that we see right now? You grew up in a house with lots of boys, lots of men. You grew up in a house of love. You grew up in a house of community. How did that shape the woman that we get to see today?
Growing up in a house of love and community, especially with men, it just makes you more understanding, right? To men and to guys and to the world. You're more at peace with stuff. I realize I'm not the girl that's like rah rah. I mean, trust me, I can go there.
Catch you on the wrong day.
Baby, I'm still a Sagittarius. But I am very much like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. You know what? Let me give you time. My mom, she used to get upset sometimes. And I mean, I was a very rebellious child. I had fun. And I felt like I could take the consequences. So I'm going to do what I want to do. But when she was upset, she would say, I can't talk to you right now. I need time. So when things happen with guys, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to give you your space. But we're going to discuss this when we both had time to process and calm down. We don't got to be like this. We can talk about it. And I can express my emotions to you and you be receptive to it and not feel like you're being attacked. And then you cannot gaslight me. This could be healthy. So growing up in that type of environment has brought me to a woman that's healthy, a woman that's healed, a woman and that's not to say that I don't have my moments, because I have moments where I be bitter. You know what I'm saying? I have moments where like the world creeps in. But I'm very rooted in my faith because of my household. I'm a product. What you see today is raise a child, train up a child in the way that they should go, and from it they will not falter.
Right, yeah.
From it they will not stray. That's a product of it. That is my upbringing. So I just say, even being happy for others, even knowing and trusting like all things work together and it goes exactly how it's supposed to go, and understanding my purpose. I feel like I'm here and my purpose is to make other people just be happy and inspired to be here. Make them see themselves, make them feel seen, make them feel like, oh, it's something I'm supposed to do here. I just ask God, let me be the reason that somebody don't commit suicide. And I'm okay with that.
Part of what you do, talking about like part of your purpose is to entertain, make people see joy. You do so much of that in your work. When did this desire to become an actress, does this happen when you're young? Does this happen in your pre-collegiate years? When do you get bit by this bug that says, you know what? I think I want to be an actress.
I was a senior in high school.
Tell me about it.
I was in Dr. Narca's drama class.
Okay.
And because I was in school at a time where you still had like sex ed, home ec, PE, like all these actual things that they think don't matter, but they matter.
It's training to be a grown-up.
It's training. It teaches you things that you actually need. Like, why am I in science for 12 years? I'm not about to invent something that has anything to do with chemistry. Let people decide to do that. Why I still got to go to college and take these classes that have nothing to do with my major of accounting. So I took a drama class and I just really had fun. I didn't think about nothing, like not the outside world, not what I have for breakfast. I was just there in the moment. And I said, I love this. And then I found out you could do this for a career. Because all my life I wanted to I thought I was going to be the next female Johnny Cochran, which I still can be. I thought I was going to do hair. And I thought I was going to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Okay. So those are my 3 goals. And I was like, once I do that, I've made it. I've accomplished everything I was supposed to do here. And then I took drama class. And I went to an all-black school. So I took drama class next to people that looked like me. And I was like, oh. Because growing up, don't judge me. I thought people were like in the TV. I thought that was like, that's where they lived. Like I didn't think that was a job. Like they're regular people like myself, because we didn't see that many black folks.
Of course.
So, I mean, it's okay that there's only a few black people that live in the TV. I was like,
I don't even know if I want that job anyway.
Yeah, I was like,
stuck in the TV.
There's only a few of them. So I was surprised to learn that this is a job and like these are real people. And I could be one of these people.
Do you remember what that feeling was like? So, like, my story is second semester, senior year at Duke University. In school, I had a lot of fun. I played a lot. I wasn't super focused on
Okay.
school, but I did well. And I remember taking my first marketing course, and it was like my soul was lit on fire. I had been in school for whatever it had been before, 20, 21 years before that, right?
Mhm.
And never did I have this feeling that was like, oh my God, this is me. What was that feeling like when you discovered that it's not people inside of the TV, but this is actually something that you, Gail, could chase?
It was a feeling of, there will be people who watch this who have never seen God and don't believe in God.
Mm.
It's that moment when you see it,
Mm.
right? When you actually, when God becomes tangible,
Mhm.
right? It was that moment where I felt like full body, like everything, you feel it with all your senses, you feel it inside of you. It was that moment where I felt, no, I can do this. And I said, God, if I do it, let me do it right.
Mm.
And for me, right, is let people say, oh, she didn't do that, she couldn't do that. There's nothing in her story that aligns that said that's gonna be hers. So it had to be God.
Mm.
So I said, give me a career where people look at it and even a heathen and an atheist can say, God do exist.
Mm.
Now I don't believe in him. I don't believe in it. I don't want to touch it, but I see you.
What is the power in giving? So you discover this thing, your soul is on fire, and the first thing you do is you give it to God.
Yes.
Why? And what is the power in creating that moment that says, oh, this gift, this dream, it is not mine. I'm giving it to you.
I think that's the foundation, right? You do some things and you don't know why you do them. And it's just like, it's just in you. It's one of those things where I honestly have got my parents.
Mm.
I must say, there's so many times people say and they want to be, oh, I did it on my own. No, because your foundation, your surroundings, your team, that matters. There is no doing it on your own. Nobody does it on their own.
Period.
Even if they think and they want to say that and they could journal how hard they worked, you still didn't do it on your own. So I don't even know, I can't say what that moment is or was that like led up to God other than my family and my team and my foundation. They put that in me to where that is going to be my
First thing, yeah.
That is. But that's from them.
Mhm.
So I'm going to make sure when I do have anybody who's around me, I pour that so then they could not even just know. And it's just a natural reaction,
Mhm.
right? It's just even, you just falter to it.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And then you see how it works. So you're like, even if you thought you didn't know, you're like, I'm going to want to give it a try. And then you see it and it's like, oh.
Mm.
So it's just what was embedded in me.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. How we say, oh, these are my ancestors' prayers. I always say I'm grateful for a praying mother.
Mhm. Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
And
My mama used to wake up every day, 4 in the morning, and pray from 4 in the morning till 5 in the morning every single day, right? We didn't have all of the money in the world, but we had all of the prayers in the world, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely think that I am a output of her, of all of those dreams.
Prayers are expensive.
Say more.
Prayers are expensive because look, she prayed for you from 4 to 5. I say prayers are expensive because one, time is wealth.
Mhm.
So for someone to take time to pray for you, that's wealth.
Sure.
And then prayers come to fruition that sometimes always are in the form of wealth.
Mhm.
So that's why I tell people when they're always like, what do you need? What can I do for you? The most expensive thing you can do for me is pray.
Amen.
And I'm
Same.
grateful because it's going to come to fruition.
Amen.
So be careful and pray with intention.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, okay. You want to do something for me? Do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think the woman that you're seeing in front of you today is a culmination of all the amazing people. You are a part of it.
Mhm.
I told you when you...
Okay, we're going to get to that part. Yeah, I don't even know where you're going, but we're going to get to it. So you have this love that you have now discovered. You have given it to God. You're on your way to college. do you go major in anything that is related to this dream? I'm assuming it's there, right? So
Yes.
do you go major in becoming an actress?
No.
Okay.
What's crazy is when I knew I wanted to act, I only took that one acting class at Stevenson High School.
Sometimes all it takes is one, right? To
That's
set your
it.
soul on fire.
But you know, I think we need to be mindful and be aware of the things that happen as children, right? Because I always love performing and not just we do the Christmas plays but I did ballet, I did cheerleading, I did softball, and I did track. I love that adrenaline of practice, work hard, research, have a team, and then you got one moment.
Get on the stage.
You either,
perform.
hey,
Yeah, right.
I love that, love that feeling. So I think that's why with acting, it is the work. I love the thing of doing all the work behind the scenes that nobody sees and then showing something, right? Because then they see it. They don't even know that they're seeing what they love or the performance. They don't know that they're seeing all the hard work that you put into it. So I just love that. So I think I was prepared. Life prepared me for these moments. So I took one acting class, but I get people whose parents, they ask me, well, what can my child do? I said, let them live. Let them be a child. Because they asked me, and I nobody knew I wanted to act until I was a senior in high school.
Right. You didn't know you wanted to act.
I didn't know I wanted to. So let them be a child because these experiences do matter. They do build different characteristics that contribute to them being a great actor. They do build team building. They do build faith. They do build love for self. Allow them to build up their confidence when just being a person. Allow them to learn how to communicate and move in a room of any and everybody. Allow them to know how to hold a conversation with folks. Allow them to have a respect. So when they go places and they walk in a room, they're respectful to people and they acknowledge others. My mom said you're going to treat the janitor with the same respect you treat the CEO.
Amen.
They are a human being. So to me, I'm like, if you get shot, I get shot. We both going to bleed blood. That's it. That's all that matters. Now you start bleeding something else. So I took this acting class and then I go to college. I did nothing in regards to acting in college.
Really?
Absolutely nothing. I cheered. I pledged Delta. I was in SGA.
What happened to the dream? Where'd it go?
The dream was deferred, not denied. My mom said, so everybody was receiving their college letters, right? I didn't even apply to college. She was like, where are your letters? I said, I didn't apply. I'm moving to LA to do acting. She was like, you're what? My mom is a retired teacher. So for her, not furthering and continuing your education, and she came from the way of you grow up, you go to school, you go to college, you get a good job, you have a happy life. So I tell people sometimes we think, oh, this person telling me that, they hate and they don't believe in my dreams. It's not that. They don't know it. They don't know it. They don't understand it. They can't see it. They do want the best for you from what they know, from what they've seen, from what they've experienced. So they don't know that life until you show them. So it wasn't that she didn't believe in me. She wanted the best for me. So she was like, no, you going to college and majoring in something that you could get a job in. I said, okay. Okay. I love my mom. I don't think she ever tells me wrong. She's never in her life told me something that was wrong. She might have told me something that she wasn't aware of or some waters that she never navigated, but she never told me anything wrong.
I love that you can separate those two.
Yes, because we're in this generation of soft parenting, gentle parenting, and then they have ostracized and made it seem like we were raised unhealthy.
Incorrectly.
And we weren't. We weren't. We were raised the best that they knew how.
Amen.
So I said, okay, cool. I go to college. I get there. I don't know. They're like, what do you want to major in? I don't know. I call my brother who's already in college. I'm like, what's your major? He was majoring in accounting. I said, okay, I'm majoring in accounting. I'm majoring in accounting and finance. I did like numbers. I like math. I like money. So I majored in that. Loved it. My accounting professor, Wanda Casso, she said, your future's so bright, you're going to need shades. She said, accounting is not your calling. You're going to be bored. I said, but I love it. I loved all my classes. I had that same feeling that I had with my drama class in my major classes.
Oh, wow.
In accounting, in finance. I just loved it. She said, you're going to be bored. You love it now. You in school. So you excited, but the real life, and see, right? Because there's a lot of classes that don't prepare us for real life. So I'm grateful that as a professor, she prepared me for real life. She was like, you're not going to like it.
Was there a way that you were able to tease out the difference between accounting in school and accounting in real life to know the difference? Or was it just her wisdom or her experience that kind of guided you?
It's her wisdom, but I'm very much like, I am a person that's like, okay, you told me this, how can I apply it? Everything I receive, I'm like, how can I apply it? Because I don't feel like it's a thing of, this is not for me. I don't reject anything except negativity. But I'm like, okay, so you saw that, let me figure out how to make it work, right? Because I do believe that God moves with intention. So I said, okay, how does this apply to my life? And it does. I own my own production company. I do payroll. Before I got to a point where I could hire other people, I was my own accountant. I did my own taxes. You know what I'm saying? I can pass along the knowledge of financial literacy because we throw around the word financial literacy so often and nobody actually explains it or breaks it down to people like ourselves for us to really know and understand. But because I have that accounting degree, I can break it down. I can know how to apply it to my life. I can be a producer to really know how to work budget and work with what I have and produce because of my accounting degree. So I was like, okay, I can know how to manage my money as a college student. I can go from making 17 grand a year working a job to making 6 figures an episode and knowing how to manage that money so where a strike don't even feel like a strike.
Come through.
It don't even feel. So I can say how, if I survived and lived off of 17 or 42, even when the number changed, I can still have a salary and survive off of 42.
Yeah.
So I can make a 6-figure salary and say, make my production company, right? Because I have that accounting aspect to know, have my production company pay myself. I can become a loan out and my company make the money and then I be the employee. And now I'm making maybe 20K, this person making 20K, that person. Now my company hires Black employees and minorities.
Yeah.
And now I can help change the tax bracket of all of us.
Amen. Amen. So the first thing I want to say is congratulations.
Thank you.
Because when you look at Black entrepreneurs and when you look at Black companies, what we find is that only 4% of them have the ability to hire multiple people, right? 96% of businesses are sole proprietorships, right? So beautiful, and congratulations to you for building a company that is able to hire other people and put money in other people's pockets, which I love. So that was one. The other thing that I want to get into is, so we talked about you being in school. We talked about you loving accounting. You still have this acting thing going on. Your mother has told you to focus on accounting first. I actually have a really interesting question for you there because I remember for me, it was 2007. I was working at Johnson & Johnson. I got an offer to go work at a company named Global Hue. It's the #1 multicultural agency in the nation. But there's a difference to my parents between Johnson & Johnson, who everybody knows, and Global Hue. And my mom and my father could not fathom the idea that I would leave this Fortune 100 company and go to this much smaller company. And at that age, I decided, and this was my takeaway, which is why I want to get to your takeaway, that my parents love me, but they don't always have the lens or the exposure to advise me anymore. And so then I had to start to be more careful. I'm always going to have the conversation because they have wisdom that counts. But now I have to push it through a filter that understands that their lens might be very different from mine. How do you look at kind of like, you've achieved these things that maybe your mother or others haven't achieved, but their wisdom still matters? How do you kind of balance the advice you get from people who may not have your lens or your experience?
I was just talking to Malcolm Mays about this probably like 4 days ago. I said, so often, right, we don't tell people certain things because we're like, oh, well, who am I? I said, but yes, who a person is supposed to matter, but we have to remember that it's the message, not the messenger. So I take and receive everything everybody says, and then I take it to God. Because it's like, you're here, you're telling me this for a reason. Now, some of it may be you, and some of it may be that God told you to tell me this. So I take it, I hear it, And then I sit with it. And even if my initial reaction is, oh, you don't really know. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't even understand. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Because I talk to people. A lot of my circle is not in the industry. So sometimes I'm like, that's not how it works. But then I sit with it. And then I take it to God. And it's like, oh, well, maybe they were right. Because a lot of times people who do know, right, they have too much knowledge. And they're a little
100%.
tainted.
Yep.
And it's like they can't see the forest for the trees.
100%.
So I hear it. I always tell people, I say, I hear you. So that way they don't feel like I'm disregarding them because they aren't in my, or I'm like, you're not of caliber. I'm just like, I hear you. Even if I don't agree, I let them know I hear them. And then, like I say, I take it to God and I'm like, tell me what you want me to have. You know? Because it's, you know, the saying, it's like with a grain of salt. Like you hear it, but you take it with a grain of salt.
It with a grain of salt, yeah.
So I take it with a grain of salt at initial conversation. But then I'm like, okay, let's go sit with this and figure this out. And see what am I supposed to keep and what am I'm very heavy and full in discernment.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's like you're validating them in the moment. You're throwing away no information or wisdom, and then you're taking it to God to discern what is for you and what is not for you.
Okay, correct. My mama told me not to move to LA. She was so scared and so nervous. She was like, you've never been there. It's on the other side of the world. You don't know nobody there. Like, no. My dad tried to get my mom to quit her job. She was teaching and move with me. I'm like, y'all, I'm not a child. Let me go. And I had to tell my mom, I said, Mom, trust God. He put this dream in me and you put God in me. So this is your testament to faith of trusting. Let me go. It was 3 times she told me no. And it was all because I didn't have a plan. So that's why I said, look, I'm going to go for a month. I'm going to move in October. Because now I felt like I got a plan.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's only a 1 month plan, but you got a plan.
I got a plan.
Okay.
I'm going to go for a month and then I'm going to move in October. And then the way God set it up, I ended up moving in August because I came for that month. Like day 2, I got a job. So it orchestrated itself.
You got an acting job or what kind of job?
I was working at a retail job.
Okay.
I was working at a retail store, but I did tell them when we got hired and we had our orientation, they asked our 5-year plan, where did we see ourselves in 5 years? I said, I see myself acting. I see myself acting in 5 years. And they were like, not at Windsor? I said, no, but you will get all of me while I'm here.
So what made you feel like it was so critical for your career to move to LA?
I didn't want to move to LA. I wanted to move to New York. New York was my goal. And I just, honestly, LA was me settling. So in my head, I said LA is me settling. Because I said, I can't afford New York. It's expensive. But I had been to New York. I took classes in New York. I studied in New York. I used to go every other month. My studio that I studied at in Atlanta started taking us to New York. It was my first time. I fell in love. I was like, this is where the real actors are. This is where serious acting is. I said, I got to be in New York. I said, I couldn't afford it.
Did it feel like settling when you got to LA?
No.
Okay.
No, that was when it never rained in Southern California. So it did. I was like, oh, it's so amazing. It's so sunny. It's so bright. Then I ran into people and I was like, they're not welcoming. They're not kind. They also ask you, what do you do? That's their first question.
First question in LA, always.
That's the first question. Not even like, what's your name? So it felt the geographic, right, and the weather felt welcoming. It also, God told me to come here. So I was like, but I want to go to New York. He was like, go to LA. So I said, all right. Okay.
You trusted your faith.
So I came, no idea what, no money, sold my car. I was like, I'm going to go.
And got a job on the second day.
Got a job on the second day. And then I always say, I don't live here anymore. So I still say, oh, I never want to live back in LA. I never will live back there again. I'll just go for work. But I will say it was good to me.
While you're here.
LA loved me. And I'm grateful.
So tell me, connect the dots. How do we get from Windsor to like that first gig, that first job?
So I love Windsor. I was a manager there, a store manager at Windsor. And then I started working at, I was at Windsor at Glendale Galleria. But I was staying at the time. I was staying at a friend's house. I was crashing there. It's so crazy.
I just want to make sure people get that. So you have a dream to become an actress. You're moving to LA because God told you. You're working in retail. You're staying with the friends. So it could feel like you were distant from the dream, right?
Let me line it up, right? A guy who I was taking acting classes with in Atlanta moved to LA maybe a few months before me. So I didn't know, when I knew I was coming, I didn't know anybody here. Oh, my cousin lived here too, Brandy. Me and her having the same birthday. I really didn't know anybody here though, like that. Like she was here, but I didn't know she was here like that because I knew her being in New York. So I moved. He told me he moved here. I was coming. He was like, as long as I got a place, you got a couch. He didn't even have a couch yet. So really I had a floor. But I wasn't at his house yet. When I came for 1 month, I stayed at another friend's house, a friend who I went to church with, went to college with. He's Greek. He's an Alpha. Grew up, high school, everything. Grew up together. He let me stay for a month. He lived in Burbank. Stayed with him for a month. Left, went back home. When I came back, he said I couldn't stay there anymore. He said, someone kicked me out when I lived with them, so now it's my time to kick you out. And I was like,
oh, he did that out of love.
Oh, my God. You gave me a new perspective because I never thought it was out of love. Okay. But I'm going to receive that. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay. Moved out. My friend who was here from acting class, he said, as long as I got a house, you got a couch. I went over there. He lived in Thousand Oaks. Now, I worked in Glendale Galleria. So I was spending over $600 a month in gas. You know how far Thousand Oaks is. Spending, going back and forth, and in traffic. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to do it, Lord. I was grateful for the bed. Well, grateful for the floor. Grateful for someone for some familiarity. And I really did trust God. So I moved here. Like I said, I sold my car. Not knowing. My dad ended up buying me a car before I came. So he bought me a car. We drove up to LA because he lived in Arizona at the time. We drove up to LA. He flew back to Arizona from here. Stayed at a friend's for a month. Kicked me out. Stayed at another friend's on their floor. Drove back and forth from Thousand Oaks to Glendale. I moved in August. I didn't get me a place until November. So I did that for like 3-4 months. Yeah. When I moved in November, I moved into a studio. They turned a garage into a studio. So it's like one studio. I only paid $800 in Glendale. And it was in Glendale. So I got a studio that was 5 minutes from my job.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful. And see, everybody was like, you're not going to be able to find nothing. Because I was like, this is my budget. Everybody said, you wouldn't be able to find nothing. I said, God. Because I know, one thing I do know is nothing is impossible.
Amen.
So I was like, with God. I was like, okay, find me something. $800. It was amazing. I had my own. I didn't have to worry about nothing or nobody. Street parking, great neighbors, like just great neighborhood. And I was there. And then Glendale, that location shut down. They moved me to the one in Northridge. I was like, Northridge is a travel.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I was like, now I'm traveling. Was there. I kept looking for a job at Glendale Galleria. I got a job at Francesca's. So now I was working at Windsor and Francesca's. I will never forget, I quit Windsor because at the time I was dating a guy and he was coming in town. We didn't have that much money. He was in college. He was going to Georgia Tech it was a lot. So we saw each other when we could. And I was like, I need off. They did not give me that day off. I got up early that morning. I'll never forget. I'm not a baker, but there's this homegirl I got, Stacy. Stacy Joseph she's the best baker in the world. Makes the best red velvet cakes. I called her to get the recipe. I got up early that morning, baked these red velvet, and I made red velvet cupcakes and then made a bouquet. So it was like a red velvet cupcake bouquet for him. I had to go to work. So I had him. I cried because they wouldn't let me off to like get really to the airport early. He was like, it's okay. I'll wait for you. So I go to the house, get the bouquet. I'm riding. Everything was going wrong. This person slammed on brakes in front of me. The cupcake bouquet almost fell. I'm like crying now. So then I said, you know what? I'm quitting. In that moment, I said, I'm quitting. Because to me, in that, for him to even come out here, him to be okay, him to wait, all this and everything happening, and it could have been so simple. If they would have just let me off early, another girl was like, I'll come in early. The other manager was not going for it. So I was like, you know what? She's already a little messy. She full of drama. She talk about people. I just don't like that environment. I was like, I quit. I had Francesca's. I quit. So then now I'm back working only at Glendale Galleria. I used to go into the sneaker store, Chic, because I'm a sneakerhead. I used to go into the sneaker store all the time. I was like, can I get just a job in the back? Like just working in the back, taking in shipment. I just want a job. Sanjay said, I was not going in there to be a manager, to be a store manager. He said, no. I want you to be our store manager. I want you to be the key. Have a key. There were people who had been working at that store for years that were so mad. And it's like, but this keeps happening in my life where God elevates me, even in areas that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
And then other people be mad, and it's like, and then I develop enemies that I didn't ask for. And it's like, I'm not doing, I have nothing against you. I swear.
Favor ain't fair. That's
Favor ain't fair.
Favor ain't fair.
And it's like, I was like, okay. So I was able to, and I got to keep both jobs because they weren't competing. But then I eventually quit Francesca's and I'm working at Chic now. I'm working at a sneaker store. I'm a manager, which I walk in, I said, God, I walk in asking for just a little, just give me a little. But God say abundance.
Yeah, provision, yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So, but I went somewhere where they saw the vision and they saw in me and they just wanted to be a vessel. Like, so Chic let me off to go do the Belco Experiment, the James Gunn movie that I did over in Bogota. They let me take a leave. They let me go do auditions. My film, Sundance, the film that got the critical acclaim, the film that was the first time people saw me on screen. I was working at Chic. I went on, they let me go on my 15 to go do a interview with the director and the producer. I was sitting outside of Target in Glendale Galleria using their free Wi-Fi on my laptop with the producer and the director of Unexpected, Chris Weinberg and Andre, we call her Andy, Andrea Roa. While I was at Chic, was the table that was set before me so I could really feast. They made the way, right? And I'm always going to be so grateful for everybody who I ever encountered. And they let me go. And when it was my time to actually leave them, they were okay. They were happy for me.
I love that you were able to find a place that could be a helpful place for nurturing this dream. You kind of glossed over it, Sundance. Tell me about Sundance. So this is when more of the world starts to discover who you are, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that moment.
Okay, so Sundance, we shot Unexpected. It's so crazy. When I auditioned for Unexpected, when everything was starting to happen, I had never actually been in a room to audition for television and film. I was a theater girl, right? So when it happened, it was a self-tape. I was like, okay, cool, great. I tell people quality, not quantity. I had 4 auditions that year. It was like a Disney show, the spinoff from Vampire Diaries, whatever that was called, I think the originals, something else, a commercial, and Unexpected.
Just real quick. So that tells me you're being picky. That tells me you're being choosy, no?
No.
That's all that came.
That's all that came. That's why I say, because some people, they get so upset about their reps because they're like, I'm not getting nothing. But what did you get though? Be great. I know sometimes it's like, okay, as Black people, we don't need to be like, oh, I'm grateful I got this, but pay attention. Be mindful of what you did get. So she only got me 4 auditions. That's it. And I tell people all the time, it only take 1. When my stylist style me, he come in with a full rack. And we can hate at everything, but if we got 1, I'm like, we only need 1. So I got 4 auditions that year. Unexpected was one of them. It was a self-tape. Then they wanted, I got a call back. So my homegirl, her name was Danielle, she put me on tape. I had to go to her house. She had a cat. She put the cat in the bathroom. Peter, don't come after us. She put the cat in the bathroom. So the cat was purring all through my audition. I was like, it's fine. We're going to send it. We're going to send it. And I tell people all the time, because a lot of time actors or whatever career or profession people are in, they will be so worried about everything else that has nothing to do with their instrument. I said, if they focus on the purring, then I'm doing something wrong. That's like with actors when they be so worried about the background of this and this. I got to have a backdrop and I got to have, no, you don't. Get on that yellow wall. Because if they're so worried about everything else, you're not doing your job. So, Cat in the Closet, we put it on tape. They loved it. They wanted to meet with me. And it was just like, that took off. It goes to Sundance. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited when they called me. I immediately put it on Twitter.
Okay.
And they called me back and was like, it hasn't been announced yet. Right. You got to delete it. So I deleted it. Then on top of that, it just kept compounding. The Hollywood Reporter named me next 10 generation breakout actors.
How did that feel?
Next 10 generation breakout actors.
That's a massive acclaim.
In 2015. We are now
10 years later almost. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. If that ain't got... So I'm up there. I'm the only Black person up there. And I'm like, I'm okay with being the only. I'm okay with being the first. I don't want to be the only. So I'm like, that means more people have to make this list at some point. So it's me. I'm up there with Olivia Wilde. I'm up there with Thomas Mann. I'm up there with so many people who are on that list that are now like blooming.
That's like that story. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success, right? Named, notified, identified, but it took until 2023, 2024 to truly bloom.
I made all the lists. I made the Hollywood Reporter, Next Generation 10, Breakout Stars, New York Mag, everybody, Variety, everybody. And I hadn't even seen the film yet. So many people saw the film, because that's what happens. I hadn't seen it. And I got to act across like Kobe Smulders, Anders Holmes, Elizabeth McGowan. I got to be in it with like some great heavy names. And the crazy thing is, this was like, Black people didn't know me yet. So I first came out with the white audience. They loved me. And it was just I couldn't believe it. I was like, God, what? So that's how I got to Sundance. And I did Sundance and thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like a kid in Candyland, kid in a candy store. So that was my Sundance experience.
Okay, so then we go from Sundance to what? What is next after Sundance? Is it Insecure?
No, we were from Sundance to Belco. So I was still working. So we went from Sundance to the Belco experiment, which I was at Chic. Chic let me off to go do Belco. That was with James Gunn. It was with Tony Goldwyn. At the time, he was Fitz, the president from Scandal. It was just with so many. James Earl, who is, me and him were both the Black people in the film. He is an LA native, and he is so talented. DJ, musician, actor, all things, right? And it was just a plethora of amazing, great people. Rusty, Sean Gunn, like just amazing people, right? I got to go to Columbia. We shot in Bogota, Colombia.
I love Bogota.
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
If you haven't been to Bogota, Colombia, go take a look. It's amazing.
Go. And I shot that. I was still working at Chic. Came back. And James Gunn didn't direct. He was just the writer, right? And James Gunn is like Guardians of the Galaxy. He now is over like the whole DC universe. Yep. And it was just beautiful. And I also am mindful of people touching other people, right? He worked with Danielle on Peacemaker, Danielle Brooks. My Oscar-winning Danielle Brooks.
Yeah.
But to y'all, Oscar nominated, but she is my Oscar. Not to take nothing from nobody who won. Like, she's also. But shot that, still working at Chic, came back. Then when my time to leave was Chic, 2015, I booked Insecure. And it's so crazy because I booked Insecure. I went into audition for Insecure for like 3 different roles. I went in for Molly. They loved me. I got a call back. And I said, I'm not going to get this. I'm realistic, right? I said, standing next to Issa Rae, I'm not going to look like her best friend. I'm going to look like her cousin, her sister, her little sister. But I'm not going to look like her best friend that went to college and grew up. No matter what you put me in, how much makeup, how much hair, we're not going to look the same age. And sis not even old, but she going to make me look like a baby. They're gonna be like, who picked this middle schooler? So I was grateful for the callback.
The shot, yeah.
Yes, but and Victoria Thomas is intentional too. I love her. She's one of the best casting directors we have. She is going to, it's not about you booking a role, it's about you being seen. So she saw me and was like, no, people need to see her. So she brought me back in for Molly for the callback. So that's when I met like Issa, Prentice, Melina. That's when I met Denise. I met them. They liked me. She brought me back in for the role that Dominique got, the bank teller. Now it says so uncourageous, all that. I was like, dang, this ain't me, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. They saw me. Obviously, I didn't book it. They brought me back in for Rashida. I got dumped that morning. 5 a.m. I woke up. And don't hate him, y'all. He's a great man. It wasn't a dump, like we broke up on great terms. But he was just like, he couldn't do it. I give people grace and I'm thankful for their truth. He couldn't do the long distance. He couldn't. He's a Cancer, so he's a touch. I need you. So I said, okay, I respect it. It still broke my heart. I pull up to the gate of Sony, and I had to call back for Rashida. I pull up to the gate at Sony on the Sony line. I'll never forget this. They said they didn't see my name. I broke out crying. Not even about that. It was about being broke up that morning. But all things worked together. He said, he was so, like, I was hysterical. He was like, you can go. You can go in. You can go in. I was like, I'm sorry. Broke out crying. I had to gather myself. And then so I'm on the line. I had my hair wrapped because I got natural hair. I had a little scarf on or whatever. I'm walking. I had my flip-flops, had my heels in my bag. But they were on lunch. So they were all in the waiting room. So I opened the door. I was like, oh, shit.
Everybody there.
So I was like, oh, sorry. I go back out. I put my wrap down, put my heels on. I walk back in. The lobby is empty. I'm like, oh, hell no now. So they had went back into the audition room. So I go in. They was just laughing. And I was like, my bad, y'all. This is what I look like. Like, this is me. And I did the audition. But that moment made me forget all about the breakup, the personal, like all of that. But also, when it comes to acting, all of the moments of a job have prepared me because they say whatever you're going through at a job, they say leave it at the door. So I can show up on set and be who I need to be, no matter what's going on in my personal life. So it just worked. It just, all things worked together. But 2015 was when 2015 was Sundance, and then we had Velcro Experiment, and then we had Insecure. And it's each were my first. Insecure was the first thing to put me on TV. And it was a season 1. So I always tell Issa, like, when you have something like season 1, right, when you're trying to do something, you're very mindful. Because you're also nervous, you also have that fear that kind of creeps over, and your anxiety that creeps over into everything. So even to take a chance on me and say, we're going to trust her with this. I was grateful. I needed that. I needed them. I needed Insecure. I needed Issa Rae to be my first.
I think there's also a connection to me to just the power again of like Black-owned media and Black-owned studios who can see our people and validate our people in ways that other people seem to fail. I want to, before we have to get out of here, get to all of this award-winning work that you're doing. But first, you and I meet each other somewhere along the way in this journey, right? When does that happen? Okay. Where are we in this story?
I was working on Snowfall.
Okay.
And I seen this photo of Adriana Mitchell, which we had the same me and her have the same last name. I didn't even think I seen this photo of her. She was glowing, ravishing. I never look at things of other people and say, give me that. I saw the photo of her and I was like, I hit her up. Hey, who took these photos? I don't even like taking photos. I said, who took these photos? I need them in my life. Like, your picture spoke. Like, it just said God. And I said, who? And I reached out to you. I said, hey. I didn't know you were not a photographer.
Did we do DM?
We DM'd.
Okay.
And then I was like, see if he'll allow me to give me his number. And I hit you in all ways. I had DM'd you, I had emailed you,
Okay.
I was stalking. I was gonna get to you some way, shape, or form. And I was like, hey, can I please you did photos for Adriana Mitchell. Can you please take my pictures? You were like, sure. You were like, sure. And I was like, I asked you like price. You was like, I'm not a photographer. You was like, it's just a hobby. I just love, I love Black women. And I love that is your way of paying homage to us.
Service.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hold on. You're gonna do it for free. You're gonna take my pictures. You're gonna do this. You're not even a photographer, but you're gonna photo me. And it just worked out.
Yeah,
and
we had a good time.
I still use these. Literally, that's the photo. The photo you took of me, the one in the black, that's the photo that P Valley had on the wall of my casting.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Everywhere I go, people use that photo.
Oh, that's amazing. That's like my old house. We had a phenomenal time shooting. I just think you are so beautiful to capture. And then you have these like beautiful prominent features, like your lips are beautiful, right? Like it was wonderful having that journey with you. And I'm glad that gift has been able to continue giving, which is amazing. And then we've developed this relationship and this friendship. Okay, so last two things. So tell me how it was. How did you get the job on Snowfall?
I also stalked Snowfall. So in 2012, John Singleton came to my class in Atlanta. He spoke to us, and it was like, oh wow. My teacher, Lilanya Abner, introduced and was like, we call her Baby Taraji. Mm. So that was the moment of me first meeting him. I always knew I wanted to work with him. When I found out about Snowfall even happening, like the pilot, I kept sending to my reps, hey, this is happening. I want to do it. I want to be on it. My manager was like, we read the script. There's nothing in it for you. Mm. Like there's but it's a little, it's not, you're not in the age range. I was like, there's nothing? Mm. Please. Then when they were recasting, I was like, well, they're recasting. Is there anything? They were like, there's nothing. There's nothing. So I kept it on their radar, right? I will never forget, 2017, I landed. I never used to leave LA because I was scared of like letting my phone die or leaving and missing the opportunity. I finally was like the son of the producer from Unexpected. The son's name is, so the producer was Peter Gilbert, who did Hoop Dreams and so many other things. His son is Leo Gilbert. He's a director. He was like, I'm making this web series. I want you to do it. We'll fly you in. Cool. I go to Chicago. The moment I landed and my phone gets service, I have an audition for Snowfall. Now they've done a season. So this is now season 2. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to tell the plane, go back.
Turn around. Yeah.
Turn around. I gotta go. I couldn't believe it. I said, the moment I leave, man, I said, God. So I called and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm out of town for my birthday. Can we see if they can reschedule it? They said they're not rescheduling it, but they'll take a tape. We put it on tape. After filming a 16-hour day, the director is like, I'll tape you. My cast member is like, I'll read with you. And I was ready because the cameraman was supposed to do it, but he was like, I'm tired, Gail. So he was like, he let the director use his camera. And I sent it. Once the tape went in, they was like, they love you.
Nice.
Well, they want to know if you still going to be back in town on this day. For them to do a chemistry test with Isaiah. And I said, I will. And Malcolm were really great friends. Malcolm Mays. He was on the show. And I told him, he was like, you want me to call? I said, no. It's the mindset sometimes where we have this messed up mindset of thinking we don't want no help.
Like we got to get it by ourselves.
Yeah. We got to get nepotism. Yeah. We can't have nepotism. We got to get it by ourselves. No. Other ethnicities get help. We can have help. All of them. That's why we're here. If we weren't supposed to have help, we would be on this world by ourselves.
100%. We're the only people who think we got to get it by ourselves.
So I was like, no, Malcolm, I want to stand on the merit of my work. I could slap 2017 me. I could slap the me that said, you have to do this by yourselves. And no, I want all the help I can get. If you hire me.
Because once you get that help and you get that job, then you still have to deliver and perform on your own. So how you get access to that opportunity, how you make yourself in that room shouldn't matter. Use all of your tools, all of the weapons to get in that room, because once you get there, you still have to stand on your own.
Exactly. And that's what I learned. So I told him no. I go do the But all the things were there, right? So when I after Chicago, I went to Atlanta, spent time with my family. Me and my brother watched the D-Ray special. And then I get to my audition. D-Ray is sitting down for his audition. And I was like, I texted my brother immediately. I said, it's an omen, because I read the book, The Alchemist, so I believe in omens.
I love The Alchemist.
I said, it's an omen. D-Ray is here. I'm booking it. So Isaiah comes in, I speak, I introduce myself. Me and him used to take the same acting class in Atlanta, but at different times. So I was before him. And then I moved to LA. Everybody's like, you got to meet Isaiah. They used to always say that. That was our first time meeting. So then I go in the room. It's like 13 people in a room that's the size of this. And me and Isaiah killed it. Killed it.
How you know you killed it? How you know?
I just felt good.
You felt it.
I felt, you feel, you know when you've let yourself down, right? I had prepared for this. It was my moment. I felt good. Killed it.
So much of what I love about your journey is how often you are two things: tenacious, right? Like continuing to chase things down, and how you are often manifesting the things that you want to see happen in your life. And so you chase down this opportunity at Snowfall, and then last night you win the award, Best Supporting Actress.
Yes.
How are you feeling this morning? And how does it feel to like have that thing that was in your sights that you said, this is mine, I see it, I'm going to keep coming. And now here you are being recognized and awarded for the work that you're doing on that show that you did.
I'm not going to lie. I'm very grateful and I'm on a high, but I'm also really aware that I didn't do this by myself, and my cast members and my IATSE crew and everybody, John, FX, it's all of ours. And I want them to have the same acknowledgement, because they deserve all of this. I might have stood on that stage by myself, but I was not on that stage by myself. And I didn't get there by myself. So I have a little bit of like, I wanted all of us to win. I wanted it to be a sweep because they deserve that. They do. Damson deserves an award. Eamon, everybody, Michael Hyde, everybody, Angela, Isaiah, they all deserve an award. So it is that moment of I'm happy, but I'm like also sad.
This is like, it feels like the Gail that I heard you talk about growing up, who is in so much love with her community, and you're just trying to bring your community along with you. Yes. Now, this isn't the first award that you received, because you're on a different show right now, right? P-Valley, you got an award.
P-Valley got our most outstanding drama series last year. So I'm back to back.
How amazing is that? It's been so wonderful and beautiful to just watch you from the day that we met doing photography to now seeing the stages that you're rocking to now seeing the awards and you being recognized for your work, which is amazing. I have a question for you about this notion of here you are winning awards. A lot of people think that in order to get there, you have to do this like starving artist thing, right?
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in the starving artist?
I don't believe in it. First off, I like money. Okay. And bills like money. So I just feel you don't have to be a starving artist. It doesn't have to be hard. I mean, it's going to be difficult, but life is difficult. But you don't got to be. When I moved to LA, I was like, I can't afford it. Somebody said, if you can be broke in Atlanta, you can be broke in LA. I said, interesting. You're right. So I've always had a job. Like, I did not have a job outside of acting until 2017, and that was because I got fired. And I think God had to push me on that job because I loved it so much. I had flight benefits. I was getting paid the most money I ever made. I was like making $17 and some change an hour. I was meeting and seeing everybody. I just loved it. So I had a job while I was doing everything up until when I got fired. Immediately, I booked Atlanta. I worked every month since I got fired. And even getting put out that job. So I would see people and they say, are you the girl from Insecure? I am. I had a job. And I don't think there's anything wrong with working. You have to, it's working and not pursuing. You can do both. You can make it work. Get a job that has incentives. Have something different so you're not so consumed to where the no's hurt your feelings, or you're so aware of like, I'm not working. Work. Get money.
I love your framing. So even when you talk about being fired, there's a lot of people who would tell that story and it would sound like it was heartbreaking. And I'm not saying that it's not, but so much of how we view what happens to us dictates our path. And what I hear you say is, I got fired, but that was God pushing me out into this new moment, right? And then you can see how that moment takes off. I'm just so in love with this conversation. I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here, that we were able to be in the same city at the same time to make this happen. Before we close out for the rest of the world, do you have anything that you want to tell the audience? Any words of wisdom? Any closing remarks that you want to make?
It's a journey. It really is. I know people say all the time, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It is. But in that marathon, there will be moments that you do sprint. So just trusting it and understanding that everything is intentional, like every person, every interaction. There is no, oh, well, there was just that water on the table. No, that water is intentional. Ain't nobody paying us. Ain't no label on this. But there will be a moment where there is a water on the table that does have a label and they are giving the money. You see what I'm saying? Like, but truly understanding your path and knowing that it's okay if your path doesn't look like the next person. It's okay if you falter or you fall down. Like my journey, everybody asked me how I got the name Gail Bean. It's not how I got it. It's why I kept it, right? I've been to jail a few times. I didn't want anybody like looking into that and understand and then judging me on that. Like, I didn't want people really doing the research on me because at first I was like, they're not gonna accept my background. And then, like everybody knows, I say Mitchells are born winners. I'm a Mitchell. So I am very proud of that. And I do want people to know and see and understand my journey and my path and knowing nothing bad that you have done discredits you from the good that you're going to receive. When I moved out here, I was on probation, 5 years probation. I moved out, you get off good early if you do good in 3. I was 1 month away from finishing my 3. I wasn't supposed to move. I was obedient to God and I told my mama was like, yo, just wait. I was supposed to get off in October. I moved, no, not 1 month. I moved in August. I said, I'm still going to send my money. I'm still going to call. I'm still going to say I live where I lived. And I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to get in no trouble out here. I'm going to trust it. So knowing that you can do it. If don't nobody else tell you you can do it, I'm telling you could do it. It don't matter what you've done. It don't matter who you are or aren't. I want people to know and feel inspired when they look in my path. I don't have a theater degree. I go to casting directors. They think I went to Juilliard. I'm like, that's cute. That's expensive. Who got the money for that? You gonna... So I want them to know it's in you. Nipsey said it ain't on you, it's in you.
It's in you, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I want people to know that from looking at my path. I want them to dispel all the things that the media and society and this world has told us. You don't be the starving artist. You don't have to be the starving artist. You shouldn't be the starving artist. You should eat, friend. I like food. So I want people to know and feel inspired and understand that even with like me, everybody love my lips. I hate, with a capital H, my lips. But it is something that is memorable. It is something that people love. It is something that one day, I said, I hope one day somebody pay me enough to love them. You put a couple zeros behind that motherfucker, I might fall in love with them. But it is something that when I grew up as a child, I was picked on about. Before I even understood, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want people to not get so bogged down on the bad and start to change their mindset by my path and understanding that we're all here and ordained for a purpose. And our journey is supposed to inspire other people's.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Queen, award-winning actress, woman of God. Thank you for inspiring us to dream bigger, to realize that nothing at all is impossible, to recognize that no matter what background we come from, right, we always have the option to set a new course and a new trajectory for our life. I'm so excited for the rest of the world to be able to hear this episode. I'm so grateful that you were able to join me. Thank you for making your way to the Blackprint.
Thank you for having me on the Blackprint.
Gail Bean, award-winning actress, Snowfall, P-Valley. Her credits are amazing. Her story is even better. I love how she begun her story talking about how she had to learn to trust her instinct at a young age. It's like the first time she steps on stage, she feels something in her belly tell her that this is who she's supposed to be, an actress. And so even though she goes to school for accounting, and even though there are years where she's not doing any acting, she's working in retail shops, she still knows and believes and trusts that thing that's inside of her. The other theme that rings loud and clear as you listen to her story is that she is just so grounded in her faith, this faith that has been in her since she was a little child. And whether it is your faith or something else, I think the takeaway is that we always have to have something that is anchoring us, because life will come with challenges, life will come with obstacles, life will come with things that will try to knock us off of our box. But if we have faith, or if we have that anchor, we can always survive and make it through. And the other thing that I love about her story is she reminds us about the importance of being willing to ask for help. I think often it is only in the Black community where we feel like the world is a meritocracy, or we feel like we got to get to a certain place on our own. So many other people are not playing the game that way. And so she talks about how she wanted to be on Snowfall. And when she finally gets that opportunity to break in, she's got a friend on the inside who offers his assistance, and she rejects it. And my idea to you is, it doesn't matter how you get to a place. It doesn't matter how you get in the room. Once you're in the room and in that position, you still have to prove your worth. You still have to prove that you're the best person for that job. And so take every opportunity that you can get. Leverage your community, leverage your network, leverage whatever you have at your fingertips to make sure that you have the opportunity to get into the room so that you can show the world who the hell you are.